Our top story this Wednesday morning: on average, 20 U.S. veterans die every day by taking their own lives. President Trump wants his administration to put more focus on the problem and signed an executive order Tuesday to try and come up with a solution. Montana has one of the highest suicide rates among veterans and the general population. Q2's Russ Riesinger spoke to Billings Mayor Bill Cole, who was at the White House as President Trump signed the order.
It's a problem that has plagued the nation and hit Montana hard. President Trump announcing a new initiative in hopes of doing something about it.
By investing in research and scientific advances, we can better understand the trauma our brave soldiers face and how to restore their faith and their health.
The president was surrounded by military families and veterans organizations for the signing ceremony. Billings Mayor Bill Cole was also there. Cole says he was surprised and honored when he got the invitation to come to the White House.
Well, sadly, the reason I was invited is because Montana has the highest rate of veteran suicide in the United States. It's almost twice of our general population, which is also the highest in the country. So it's a huge problem.
The president's executive order creates a task force that has 1 year to develop a detailed plan. Part of the plan will focus on building public-private partnerships to address the issue. Cole's already been involved with the VA's mayor's challenge to reduce suicide, but that came with no funding.
People have to know that they can get help and that it's okay to say that they need help, both the families and veterans who are suffering. But I'm hoping that this initiative will go beyond just public attention, but also result in funding. Right now, we don't have any extra funds to attack this problem.
Cole says the task force that was created as a result of the executive order will explore alternatives to deal with the problem, including additional funding sources. Montana senators also responded to the president's signing. Senator Steve Daines applauds the executive order, saying in 2016, 42 Montana veterans lost hope and made an irreversible choice that may have been preventable. They fought for our country, and now we must fight for them in their time of greatest need. Senator John Tester says he is optimistic after the signing, but more needs to be done. He said, quote, "This executive order is a step in the right direction, but we've got to keep taking an all-hands-on-deck approach when it comes to efforts to expand veterans' access to mental health care and to improve our nation's suicide prevention efforts." Both senators are involved in Veterans Affairs committees. Looking now at the day's top national headlines, rescue workers are still searching for missing people after a tornado devastated parts of Alabama earlier this week. President Trump approved a major disaster declaration for Alabama, ordering federal aid to supplement state and local recovery efforts in Lee County. At least 23 people were killed. As CBS's Laura Podesta reports, we are now hearing the heartbreaking stories from family members of some of the youngest victims.
Of those killed in this weekend's deadly tornado in Alabama, 6-year-old A.J. Hernandez was the youngest. His uncle describes A.J.'s last moments being held by his dad as the winds ripped through.
They were hunkered down in the closet, and he had Jordan and he had A.J. He had them squeezed tight, and he said when it came through, it just took him. A.J.'s
brother Jordan survived. Shamel Hart also lost her son, 9-year-old Jonathan. She describes the chaotic scene as she tried to get an injured Jonathan to the hospital.
I picked him up and did like a fireman carry over some trees and stuff, and that's when the guy jumped out the truck with a chainsaw, and he just started plowing through trees to make a path for my cousin and me to bring the babies to him.
Lee County Sheriff Jay Jones says rescue workers are still searching for missing people.
At this point, the current number we're looking at is approximately 7 to 8 people. Has come down, way down actually, from what we initially had.
President Trump is expected to visit Alabama on Friday. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Meanwhile, more than 76,000 migrants were apprehended along the border with Mexico in February. That's an 11-year high and almost double the number for the same period a year ago. The surge comes despite new Trump administration policies aimed at reducing the flow of asylum seekers. Billings police are reviewing downtown surveillance video after a man was shot in the leg in broad daylight. He was shot outside of the U.S. Bank building at 303 North Broadway shortly after 2:15 Tuesday afternoon. Police say the man then ran and landed in the snow at the corner of North 27th Street and 2nd Avenue North. They say he then placed a tourniquet on his own wound. Another person saw him bleeding and called 911 for help. While police say there's no threat to the public, they also believe there might be more to the story.
He has no idea where the gunshot came from. He was over in the area and got shot and ran over here and doesn't know much else than that. Currently, we're investigating all leads, looking into that, gonna check video, do the stuff cops do, and see if we can figure out what really happened.
The injury was not life-threatening. Going on special assignment, Montana is one of only 5 states in the country that does not have a sales tax. While resort taxes, a bed tax, and gas taxes exist, there's no general sales tax. Advocates have tried and tried again to add a sales tax, but without success. It's to the point now that many even wonder if it will ever be worth trying again. In part 2 of his series, Q2's Jay Cohn digs into Montana's sales tax past to find out that answer.
The closest Montana came to having a sales tax came in 1971, when the legislature asked voters to pick between a 40% income tax surcharge or a 2% sales tax and a 20% surtax. At the time, Evan Barrett was executive secretary of the Montana Democratic Party, and union boss Jim Murray headed up the Montana AFL-CIO.
We didn't want workers to have to pay this unfair tax as they were shifting the tax load from corporate interests and business interests to low-income people.
Promoting the sales tax, the group SOS, Save Our State, headed by Speaker of the House Jim Lucas of Miles City.
While it ended up being defeated overwhelmingly, that wasn't a given at the beginning of that debate.
The SOS people were making the argument that the money to support the sales tax referendum was coming from little old ladies and people on retirement.
It turned out the pro-sales tax group was not funded by little old ladies, but rather by almost every large corporation and company doing business in the state. Opponents used a provision from Montana's 1912 Corrupt Practices Act to force that information into the open. It came on the eve of the big vote.
This was a dark money before we had ever described it like we do today, but all the essence of dark money was in that battle in '71, and that battle is still in the forefront today, and Montana, by the way, nationally is in the forefront of that battle because of that 1912 Corrupt Practices Act.
So when it was disclosed that this was that the whole thing was being paid for by the major corporations, that just changed the dynamics of that whole debate completely.
Voters promptly defeated the sales tax by a decisive 3-to-1 margin, rendering the issue politically untouchable for the next 2 decades. Fast forward to 1989. Republican Governor Stan Stevens proposes a 4% sales tax to help erase a budget shortfall. He even got the state's largest teachers union to support it.
House Bill 747 provides the necessary property tax reform that this state has long demanded, and it provides the necessary revenue that we need to fund our public schools.
I marvel at this great group called the ambassadors. Who elected the ambassadors, and who are they ambassadors for? I suggest to you they're ambassadors of greed, not the public.
Senator Lynch won that day, but just 4 years later, in 1993, the sales tax rose again when the legislature put the question back on the ballot. Governor Mark Roscoe barnstormed the state to drum up support for the 4% general sales tax that offered both property and income tax relief.
I could tell I was the only guy in the room that really wanted this thing to pass.
The sales tax referendum went down again, even bigger than its predecessor in '71, with nearly 3/4 of those voting no.
That sales tax would have helped enormously public education in Montana. But we just gave away that moment. And I don't see that moment coming back.
So the question today is, will a general sales tax ever become a part of the Montana tax landscape? In the world of politics, of course, we learn never to say never. And yes, believe it or not, there is a sales tax bill up for debate at this year's legislative session. On special assignment, I'm Jay Cohn reporting, MTN News.
Thanks, Jay. After decades of serving thousands of residents in the later years of their lives, St. John's Lutheran Ministries will now be known as St. John's United. It's a change leadership says will better encompass its mission of providing care to people in all stages of life. The change was announced Tuesday afternoon, along with plans to build a brand new $10.5 million housing complex for seniors on the West End. CEO David Truss says his hope is this change will help the community to recognize that St. John's provides a variety of services.
We provide services throughout the arc of life that most people don't know we do. People don't know that we do birth parent counseling and adoption services. People don't know that we have one of the largest child care centers in Yellowstone County, right here in the middle of older people. It's so much fun to watch those children engage with the elders that live here. And so it's that entire arc of life that we're trying to communicate with the community.
St. John's United provides services to people through 9 different facilities across the state. Well, now we go to Helena, where a landlord is coping with the aftermath of a potential sabotage after an evicted tenant turned off the heat and caused thousands of dollars in damages. Take a look at this. William Semenza learned water was flowing out of one of his rental property units on Tuesday. He tells MTN he had to bust down one door to get inside. He found the heat manually turned off inside the apartment and the pipes had burst. The refrigerator and oven were even covered in ice. Water flowed into the living room and the crawl space. Semenza says he's still getting a grasp on the full extent of the damages, but he's worried about potential structural damage. Other damage to the apartment includes several holes in doors and damage to the walls. Semenza says he's taking legal action against the previous tenant. Here in Billings, a sprinkler head froze and burst at the Movement Montana Arts Academy Tuesday, bringing an end to dance classes. Located at 925 Broadwater Avenue, water filled the entry of the business. Classes cannot resume until it's all cleaned up and the fire system is repaired. Battalion Chief Kevin Johnson says this is happening all across Billings, and he expects much more over the next few days. This week's warm-up following prolonged cold is a factor in all of these incidents. Benjamin Franklin Plumbing in Billings tells Q2 burst pipes are caused by cold air reaching your pipes and freezing the water within. That frozen water then expands and causes a break in the pipe, and when the ice in the pipe thaws, water starts to rush out and you may not know it. Most commonly, pipes that are closer to the exterior walls of your home have a higher likelihood of freezing. You can prevent this by making sure your pipes are insulated properly and keeping those areas of your house warm.